is after him. That could be picked off. Picked off by Colt Cruz at the 28. He's loose. He's going to go all the way. Touchdown, Tigers.
Get it on the jet sweep to the short side. Up the sideline. Sam McCaffrey. He is gone. Touchdown, Ottawa.
Wilder's going to catch it right at the 50. Looking for some room coming down here to the bottom to the left. He's got a lot of room. Watch out. He's gone. He's gone, Coach. Wilder's going to take that 50 yards for a score. Bulldogs on the board.
Welcome back to the Black Swamp Football Podcast presented by the Gerken Companies. Joined again by Tory, Strock, and Neil Schuller. I am Lynn Groll. Fall is in the air, boys. Fully into the grind of the season here. Everyone's got some bumps and bruises.
They do. Which one of you guys took my other Civista Bank pen?
Wasn't me. Wasn't me either. I got my own here.
I already scanned both your
Schuller.
work areas.
Might be Schuller.
No,
I always keep a backup, but I think one of you probably have it.
Maybe Glenn Badenhot took it.
There's a good chance.
Separate the contenders from the pretenders this time of year. Second half of the season ready to roll.
Yeah, we are officially in fall according to the calendar. It didn't feel that way last Friday night. It was a little, steamy and humid, but
it actually did after the rain rolled through up in Eden for us. I don't know about over your way, but it probably dropped 20 degrees from when we left here in Napoleon until we got to Eden on Friday night.
It did not on Airport Highway. I can assure you that.
They didn't delay the game, did they?
They did not delay the game. It was plenty steamy for sure. But cooler days ahead.
I think it's officially fall, isn't it?
Yesterday was the first day, right? Sunday.
First day.
Today feels
fallish.
Yep.
Supposed to get some more rain on Tuesday, and
we'll take it.
Temperature's going to continue to drop, it looks like.
Absolutely.
I'm ready for it. Sweatshirt weather.
Darn right.
We have a new jersey back here this week, courtesy of Cassius Halbert from Eden, now at Tiffin University. Gave us his old Eden Bombers jersey. So if you have a jersey, helmet, we don't care what it is. Nope. We'll find a place for it back here.
We'll display it. Steve Hardy was kind enough to lend us a Cougars helmet, Southview Cougar helmet.
Southview helmet.
You bet.
Yeah. Number 57. Do we know whose helmet that was?
I don't think we do, but somebody's officially on the Black Swan Football Hall of Fame wall.
Yes, they are.
With a 57.
Face mask first. Face mask.
Put this right here this week.
Yeah, we'll just put it right in the middle of Tory's space.
Being the old Napoleon coach,
what do you think of that? What do you think of that?
I like that.
Anybody that knows I don't need a whole lot of Southview stuff too close to me. I love Steve Hardy, but
Well, listen, I mean,
it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows with these guys. I can tell you that.
If Napoleon get on the stick and
exactly
give us something to display, we'd be glad to maybe sub that out.
You know what? I'm not going to argue with that. I agree with you.
You have some pull there. You coached there for a few years.
I do.
Can't you go rummaging through the closet somewhere? There's got to be something.
And I've got plenty of stuff myself, but it's not up for me to promote it anymore. Hey, I'm a bomber tonight, baby. And I'm losing my voice. I was yelling my voice was cracking today in class, and kids were laughing. I was so fired up Saturday night watching that BGA and M game.
Oh, boy.
I'm screaming. I'm all by myself, and I lost my voice. I bellered so loud a couple times. But tonight's about the Bombers.
Yeah.
Matt Ripke, Chip Holbert. They not only talk the talk, they walk the walk. And this is a sweet shirt, and I'm wearing it with pride. Got a lot of good friends from Eden.
I thought maybe Todd Peterson would drop off an Archbold shirt tonight after their win last week, a big win over Delta. He's been talking about it since the inception of Black Swamp Football, which was 2019, Pete, and we still haven't seen you.
Did anyone at this desk pick, speaking of the Blue Streaks, did anyone pick the Blue Streaks?
I did not.
I think I know who did, boys.
I think Braden did too, so don't get too uppity.
And that wouldn't surprise me. Braden, he's a smart guy, but I think anyone who knew.
We'll get to our standings here in a little bit.
All right.
That's some other business to take care of.
And I'll tell you, and I was thinking about this on the way here. What does Versailles, how do they refer to their football program? Do you guys know what Versailles calls it?
Tiger ball.
They call it Tiger Ball. I've got a new one.
Bomber ball.
Bomber ball.
There you go.
And somebody might say, well, what's bomber ball? Here's bomber ball. You have a high-flying, prolific offense, and then you turn around on defense and smack people in the face for 4 quarters. That's what Eden did. It's called bomber ball. And I'm adopting it right now.
There you go.
I want to see it on T-shirts, wherever you want to put it. It's called bomber ball.
There you go.
And I just defined it. I'm fired up right now.
You better copyright that real quick.
You know what?
Let them have it. It might be too late.
They treated us so good Friday night, they can have it.
There you go. Speaking of Versailles, a big one coming up for Versailles this Friday night with Marion Local.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'll take the Flyers in that one.
Yeah,
Tiger Ball's not going to. Tiger Ball's not going to want any of that. I don't know that anybody wants a piece of the Flyers.
Even Tiger Ball has its limitations, but I'm not sure Bomber Ball has any boundaries.
Well, we'll find out week 10.
What? And I'd be a little conflicted there. Next one.
You don't even have your wristband on this.
I don't, because it's Bomber Nation right now, buddy. They stole my heart Friday night.
BC, he took it off.
I tell you
I saw him throw it in the trash when he walked in.
That part's not true. Eden won my heart, baby.
This is like a full-scale conversion.
I'm telling you. Hey, what have you done for me lately? Eden doesn't have a loss. The Green Bears have a blemish. I ride with the winners, baby.
We rolled up to Eden on Friday night and was Tommy Eitner, the former Swanton quarterback great, Mike Bum, who was quarterback at Montpelier, and then this cat over here who he never got to throw the ball, so I don't know how good of a quarterback he really was. He just handed it off.
Right.
But
well, Coach Langford shouts his punting praises.
Yeah, I punt, kickoffs, all that kind of stuff. But these offenses these kids get to play in now, it would be so much fun. I wouldn't trade anything I experienced for anything in the world, but man, gosh, these kids now
You're no Kyler Sapp, Strock.
I guarantee I can't throw it like Kyler Sapp, but you put me back there, let me spread the field, and then just let me run. Good night. Even Rex would tell you.
Please.
Good night.
If Coach Ullman was your coach, you'd probably go back to the wing tee.
Yeah. Just out of principle.
This Strock can't throw. We're going back to the wing tee. We're going back to the wing tee here in Bomber Ball.
Bomber Ball. It's a new era, man.
Well, one thing that everybody that listened into Rise and Rewind knows for sure, they're not having you do a drop kick.
No. But I'm full disclosure. I'm honest about things.
Yeah.
Even after all those years, I mean, I could twist that a little bit, but it was what it was.
Rex ain't gonna let you twist that one bit.
No, he's not. But I don't even know if the old boy remembered it until I brought it up.
I bet he does.
Thank you to the Gerken Companies for being the title sponsor of our podcast this season. Also, American Freedom Energy Grandma's General Store here in Liberty Center. The Swanton Welding Company, K. Kern Painting, and also White Pines Golf Course. Still time to hit the links this season, guys.
Plenty of good golf left out there. Plenty.
Give me this kind of weather.
Oh, for sure. Over 90.
Any day of the week.
Yep. Gerken Company's rock solid performance. Got to hand that out this week. Let's first take a break. We'll come back and get some nominations as we head into the Week 5 Gerken Company's rock solid performance.
Who says a college degree is the only path to a fulfilling career? At the Gerken Companies, we offer rewarding livelihoods with or without a degree. Gerken provides a generous benefits package, continuous training, top-notch equipment, and a culture that rewards effort. We're looking for rock-solid performers to help build and reinforce the region's infrastructure. Whether you have construction experience or are just starting your career, apply now at GerkenCompanies.com/careers.
Thank you again to the Gerken Companies for their support and sponsoring the Rock Solid Performance. All the players on the winning team will receive wristbands. Handed those out at St. Francis last week to Coach Linke, and Coach Cromwell was up there watching practice. It was good to run into him again and see him a couple weeks after we had him here on our KK Collision football show.
We ran into Coach Cromwell on the sideline of the St. Francis St. John's game, as well as some of those folks from the 96 and 01 state championship games. So
hopefully you didn't physically run into them, or you'd probably been knocked down.
Listen, yeah, they knew I was there on official business. So.
Yeah. Yep. You guys can come in. Got some young Baden Hot boys out there looking to come in.
I think their grandpa's making them carry chairs.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I think they're
one of those Baden Hot boys scored a touchdown last Friday night on
Isaiah, the freshman.
Did, yeah.
Nice.
Yep. Impressive, too. He kind of had to retreat near midfield to catch it, kind of like an over-the-shoulder catch, and the rest is history. A bunch of Swanton guys overran him, and he zigged and zagged and took it to the house. Good for him.
All right. Give me some nominations. Gerken Company's Rock Solid Performance from week number 5.
I have 4 written down. I'm going to start with the Perrysburg Yellow Jackets. Coming off of that week for Clay, that video game numbers got put up in that Finley game, that we've long talked about Clay's high-flying offense for the Perrysburg Yellow Jackets. And not only, number one, be sitting at 5-0 on a pretty doggone tough schedule, but to limit them to 7 points. That is a rock-solid performance, in my opinion. I'll throw the Archibald Blue Streaks in there as well, recovering from a pretty stout loss to Liberty Center to beat a 4-0 Delta team. Pretty rock-solid recovery right there for Archibald. I don't know if we mentioned them or not, but Wapakoneta, 5-0, continues to roll down there. Are they getting in control of that conference? I don't know. The WBL, there's some other contenders, but Wapak certainly.
Yes, they're in control. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, all right,
they're in control.
All right. And then lastly,
they already beat Defiance. They got Bath coming up, but
we'll see what happens.
They already beat Defiance. They already beat St. Mary's. Bath's is the last kind of obstacle. Maybe Salina. I think that's just a bump in the road
formality
for the Redskins.
And lastly, I'll throw Eden in there as well. Pretty good beatdown there in that game, and to be at 5-0, but to beat Whiteford the way that they did, I mean that's a statement if you know anything about Whiteford.
All good ones, Neil. I concur on the 4 you named. I didn't have Wapak, but I like how you were thinking outside of the box there. Toledo Central Catholic, what they did at Warren de La Salle was impressive. Wayne Trace, they may not have the body of work as some of these other teams, but to do what they did at Edgerton was impressive. Tenora, talk about overcoming some serious adversity in that game to beat Fairview. That's pretty rock solid. I had Archibald also, Neil. I only have PH just because they shut Brian out, but Bill Inselman becomes the all-time winningest coach in NWAL history. That's rock solid in and of itself. But I said it once and we'll say it again. Bomber ball. Nobody shoves Whiteford around very often. Eden not only carved them up offensively, their defense played lights out, man. They really, really did against a vaunted wing T attack in Whiteford. So my leader in the clubhouse would be Eden, but Perrysburg, Neil, the thing that stands out is not that they beat Clay, but they put the clamps on that offense. Ooh. And like you said, video game numbers, when Clay's clicking, and Perrysburg never let him get untracked. So I think we're on the same page with a lot of those.
Agree with all those. My leader is Bomber Ball.
Common thread with all 3.
They knocked off the state runner-up from a year ago in the small school division in Michigan in pretty dominant fashion. Played pretty well defensively. scored 50 points.
Not easy against that team.
No, and the thing is, with the style of offense Whiteford plays, your possessions are limited, so you still put up 50, and it was impressive. It was impressive.
So congratulations, Bob Owen and the Bombers. The Gerken Company's rock-solid performance from week number 5. Robbie Myers and I will head up there, probably be Thursday night, and hand out the wristbands and give a quick little speech to the kids and congratulate them on their efforts from a week ago. But congrats to Eden.
I love
week
it.
5.
Yep. Well earned.
Good choice.
Rock-solid performance of the week. We'll hand out our week 6 rock-solid performance next week at this time on our podcast. Also have to hand out the Game 1 awards for the NLL or CHSL.
Yes.
See where Schuller's going here.
Yep. So on the offensive side of the ball for the Game 1 players of the week last week, start out with the honorable mentions. Quarterback Coy Hammock from St. John's. We talked a lot about Carson Polowitz. Had an injury very early on in that game. Coy Hammock steps in. He's taken snaps, but he stepped into the full-time role, 21 of 36 for 281 yards and 3 touchdowns. Has seen limited action thus far this year. Quite a performance. Alonzo Rivers, a sophomore, 7 receptions, 143 and 2 touchdowns there. Honorable mention performances, but for the first time this year, we're going to have co-offensive players of the week this week. Going to quarterback Corey Swartz from St. Francis, 9 of 15, 160 yards and 1 passing touchdown, 7 rushes for 61 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground, 221 all-purpose yards. And also running back Eli Beal from St. Francis, 31 totes, 197 yards and 3 scores himself. So those two gentlemen accounted for 6 touchdowns in the Knights' victory over St. John's. So co-offensive players of the week presented by Game 1 to Corey Swartz and Eli Beal from St. Francis. Defensively, honorable mentions to linebacker Logan Morehouse with St. John's. Had his number called several times. Bottled up for at least that first half, that run game, along with nose tackle Aaron Lovett. Just kind of wrecked that ground game. It wore down in the second half, but shout out to both those gentlemen. Raheem Brown, name that we mentioned several times here with St. Francis. Throw him in the honorable mention camp. There was a going into half. St. John's attempted a field goal to get some points on the board. Got blocked. Raheem Brown ends up with it. Takes it to the house. But, Coach, what happened? You know this, on a long run back, you start looking back, and sure enough, a block in the back negates it. But Raheem did have a great night. But our defensive player of the week, Francis linebacker Bo Thomas, shut the run down. I don't want to say single-handedly, but more than one time, Bo Thomas's number got called and really forced the Johnnies to distribute the ball through the air. So Bo Thomas, you are Defensive Player of the Week, presented by Game 1 for Week 5.
Anytime your linebacker's name is Bo, I think you have a chance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. He stepped up, man. He puts his nose right in there.
Yeah, you don't want to stereotype, but let's be honest.
Yeah.
That's all I need to hear.
Call. Congrats to those guys.
And Beal, those numbers he put up on the ground, and what makes it more impressive.
Second half, Coach.
That's
Yeah,
unbelievable.
he's been doing that every week.
That's unbelievable. And his numbers circled real big on the scouting report. He's a marked man, and nice job. Good, Neil. Good work.
Yep, great work. Standings after a week ago, Braden went 33-3. Took the top spot in week 5. Tory 31-4. Schuller and I were both 30-5. So you gained another game on me. But that's all right. You're still leading, 145-25. I am 3 games back with Braden. I'm 142-28. Braden's 145-31. And Schuller, 8.5 back, 137-34. Trying to recover from that week 1.
Here's some.
He's making some ground, though.
Yeah, but I'm going to tell you, Neil, there's hope, and I'm going to tell you why there's hope. You look where the Detroit Tigers were 2 months ago.
There you go.
Right? They were further out than you.
Yeah.
And look where they're at now. There's hope. But
I'm going to tell you
the problem is, I'm not the other teams that the Tigers were chasing.
Well, here's the other thing I'm going to tell you. You look at some of these games that we got coming up that we're going to need to pick in the weeks ahead. Some of these are coin toss type games.
Yeah, they are.
I'm here to tell you. So it could be anybody's game.
Tell you one league that's not a coin toss game. There's not a coin toss game in it this week is the NWAL.
Agree.
That's about as cut and dried as they come.
I agree with that. You gave up on the Tigers. I didn't want to hear your Tigers talk. You stopped watching them, Strock.
I did.
What kind of a fan are you?
I did, but I still sneak peeks from afar. My dad and my son, they've been with them the whole time, so they deserve it. But I kind of
Arm's length
in the background, But I am done with it. It's fall.
So if the Tigers make the World Series, you're not going to watch, or they make even if they make the playoffs. We'll have that TV on here on Monday nights when podcast is on and they're playing in the ALDS or something.
I may have to eat crow if that happens.
I guarantee you do.
Oh yeah.
I don't want you coming in here with the Tigers shirt on.
I've got some cool Tigers gear though.
Does it still fit?
It's shrunk. I tend to dried it on high.
Happens to my clothes sometimes too.
And then I got a nice Lions shirt for my birthday a couple weeks ago. Real nice polo shirt. Nice.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get rolling here with our picks for Week 6. We're going to start in the Green Meadows Conference. Ayersville still looking for win number 1. They are at Edgerton, who was blanked a week ago against Wayne Trace, and a little of a surprise to many folks. Can the Pilots get on the board like Wayne Trace did a week ago at Edgerton?
Well, and you mentioned Ayersville still looking for that first win, and unfortunately they're still going to be looking after this week as well. I'm going for Edgerton to get back on their feet and get things back rolling.
Yeah, sometimes when you're struggling like Ayersville is, you sometimes it's easier to find a way to lose than it is to find a way to win. And so Ayersville's just looking for that combination of things, that perfect storm, things to go right. Unfortunately, it's going to be a tall order at Edgerton, and they're playing Edgerton at a bad time because they've got a bad taste in their mouth. They were upset Friday night in a game that, gave them a loss in the league. I think they were one of the contenders, and they still are, but they're going to look to heal some wounds, and it's going to be at Ayersville's expense.
I'm going to go with Edgerton. I think they'll get another victory there. And tune in next week to our KK Collision Football Show. 50 years of Ayersville football with Craig McCord and a bunch of different faces and players over the years that are going to be joining him out here at American Freedom Energy for that. And the Ayersville folks, if you want to stop out, it sounds like there are going to be a few Ayersville people come out. There's plenty of seating here.
Would love it.
Yeah, should be a good night. Antwerp 2-3, now 0-2 in the GMC at Tenora, who has caught fire. Won 2 in a row and now 2-0 in the GMC after squeaking by Fairview last week in a comeback effort.
We talked at length on Rise and Rewind. Some of the leagues I think are a little more clear cut. The GMC's one where it's anybody's ball game, and Paulding's sitting there at 2-0 as well. But boy, Tenora, nobody's as hot as they are right now, and I think Antwerp's walking into a hornet's nest there. I really do. I expect Antwerp to battle them for 4 quarters, but Tenora's my pick in that one.
Well, and I think, Tenora, we talked about that early season schedule with them, and, they are not afraid to play anybody, especially in that non-conference schedule. I think you're starting to see that now come back to their benefit. They're hitting their stride. Meanwhile, Antwerp backs maybe against the wall a little bit, trying to, find what that identity is. And, Tory, I agree with you. I think that this one's going to go to the Rambos this week. I'm taking Tenora.
Archers lost quarterback Derek Hines last week. Don't know how long he will be out, but it sounds like they're going to miss him for the foreseeable future. This is a big blow to the 2-time defending GMC champions, but that's a tough ask to go to Tenora, who has played a rugged schedule, much like Ayersville has so far this season. Martin RPI has Tenora ranked as the 196th best schedule in the state. Ayersville's is 253. in the state this season. But I'm going to go with the Rams. I think they're going to be a little too much for Antwerp, who's just trying to find their way, like you said, Neil. Black Swamp Football Gamecast this week will be over at Fairview as Paulding coming to town. The Panthers 5-0, 2-0 overall, scoring 35.6 points per game, giving up the fourth fewest points in the state, 3.2 points per game. Panthers' strength of schedule, according to Martin RPI, though, is 704. Fairview 3-2, now 1-1 in the GMC, 33.4 points per game, giving up 19. Their strength of schedule is 597, according to Martin RPI. Tory and I not picking since we'll be on the call. Any early thoughts on this one? Maybe safe to say the biggest test Paulding has faced yet.
Yeah, for sure. And I think here's my early thought, without going too far into it. Paulding would have been better off if Fairview would have hung on and won that game against Tenora. I think that loss got them refocused. Neil, you mentioned Antwerp's back against the wall. I think Fairview's back's kind of against the wall. They're at home. They're trying to stay in the GMC race. They're gonna have both barrels loaded for Paulding. And it's just going to make Paulding's job a little bit tougher. Can't wait to see that Paulding defense. I've heard great things about.
Well, gentlemen, you mentioned, Lynn, actually, you just mentioned the stats there for Paulding. Obviously in an undefeated position, but they've beaten teams that are combined 3-27 through the first 5 weeks.
Hence their strengths of schedule in the 700.
Yep, absolutely. You're coming into Fairview, who's, in my opinion, a bit more battle-tested, haven't had games with Delta, Tenora, and Wauseon early in the season. I believe Fairview's got a bad taste in their mouth. They're back home on the reservation, and I'm going to take the Apaches this week to hang the first loss on the Paulding Panthers.
These are big picks for you, Neil, when Lynn and I don't get to pick, because it's a chance to steal a free game.
Indeed.
So
Let's see if he can steal one here.
I think it's going to be a tight contest.
Oh, I do too.
For sure. I mean, to say that this is a score-type game, absolutely.
Pre-game 6:30, kick at 7 from the reservation on Friday night as Tory and I make our first foray into the GMC this season. Next week we will be at Patrick Henry as Liberty Center is in town for that matchup. Our last 3 weeks, still undecided. Have to figure that out and see what happens here in the next 2 weeks, and we'll find a good game and be there for weeks 8, 9, and 10 as we round out this season here.
Isn't that incredible? We're talking about weeks 8, 9, and 10 already.
Yeah.
Gee.
Hard to believe.
Yeah, yes it is. Rounding out the GMC slate this week, 2 teams coming off of wins a week ago. Wayne Trace, now 1-4 and 1-1 in the GMC, 17.8 points per game, giving up 21.8. Strength of schedule of 529 at Hicksville, now 2-3, 1-1, 12.8 points per game, giving up 30 points per game. So far are the Aces. Their strength of schedule is 493. I think the Raiders are on a roll, and I think they're going to get another win here.
I agree with you, Lynn. I'm happy for Hicksville to see them get rolling a little bit. They've had a couple down years, but Wayne Trace, man, they are feeling really, really good. Finally got to enjoy some fruits of their labor after losing so many close ones over the last couple of years. So Wayne Trace does not let down. They only use that Edgerton victory as motivation. Wayne Trace.
Both teams coming off big, maybe not expected by many wins last week. And I agree with you guys. I think Wayne Trace is going to take the momentum from last week and go take care of business. So I'm going with the Raiders. Take a break and come back and talk about the NWAL, who Strock says he's got to figure it out.
Yep, locked up.
All right.
Lead pipe.
The Swanton Welding Company will come back and talk about the NWAL this week. The Swanton Welding Company proudly supports our local student athletes and coaches. We're committed to being your local steel fabrication company in Northwest Ohio and building projects across the country. For job opportunities at the Swanton Welding Company, visit www.swantonweld.com or visit them at 407 Zider Way in Swanton. Welcome back to the Black Swamp Football Podcast presented by the Gerken Companies. Let's talk the NWAL slate this season, this week. Starting with Liberty Center, undefeated, scoring 45.4 points per game, giving up 2.8 points per game. That's the third best in the state so far. At Bryan, who is still looking for their first win in the win column. Any challenges that the Tigers are going to face this week after shellacking Swanton a week ago? More of the same?
More of the same. I was curious to see how Bryan held up against Patrick Henry, a team that they've kind of given fits to the last few years. And Patrick Henry rolled in that game and didn't even have to use all their ammo. And Liberty Center, head and shoulders, I think, above everybody in that league. It's going to be a tough night for Bryan to get their footing, I'm afraid. Liberty continues to roll.
I was just looking at the Liberty rushing stats. You know, you don't want to get anybody dinged up as they've kind of rolled in all their games. And boy, they have so many different kids that have ran the ball, and nobody's ran it more than Waylon Rentz. He's only got 38 carries so far through 5 weeks. They're spreading it out because they have such a stable of guys in the backfield. Thomas Muller's got 35. Garrison Cruz, their sensational sophomore, 25. Tyler Roars, Isaac Orth, both 12. Grady Miller, their quarterback, who's split some time with Caden Kreinbrink. He has 12 attempts. So they've got a bunch of different kids that are running. They're going to be fresh.
Yeah, Rentz's total number of carries, back when they had Carpenter in the backfield, that was one game.
Yeah.
You
go back to Troy Westover.
Troy Westover.
I mean, he'd carry 50 times a game.
Yeah. And so, yeah, you're right. What I think that does is
they've had some injuries.
Yes,
the Tigers this season have gotten dinged up a little bit, but their depth, they've been able to overcome it. And so far, nobody's put up even close to a challenge, and I don't think that change is here in Week 6 against Bryan. I like the Tigers big again.
Well, and you guys mentioned it. I mean, we're in Week 6, so you're Week 6 healthy. If you're a fan and you don't quite understand that concept, talk to a coach or somebody who's been in it, because you're not perfectly healthy at Week 6. So Liberty's job here: get in and get out of Bryan, stay healthy, go take care of business, which they will, but stay healthy, and because you got a big one on the horizon next week.
Yep. Give us the Tigers all around. Archbold 3-2, now 1-1 in the NWAL, scoring 16.8 points per game, giving up 29. They are at Evergreen, who is 0-2 in the league and 2-3 overall. Vikings scoring 17.2, giving up 19 per game. I think these streaks get on a win streak here. I think they're going to win another one.
Yeah, I like Archbold in this one as well. I think their resume is a little bit better than Evergreen's. Evergreen's battling. I like what Barry Bach's doing over there in Evergreen. I think that they're headed the right direction. Year or two maybe away from being in the discussion here, but heading the right direction. But Archbold's going to get it done this week.
I agree, and I just say the last 30 years, I have no idea. I haven't looked it up, but over the last 30 years, I would, if you just put me on the spot and asked Archbold's record against Evergreen in the last 30, I'd say 28-2 is what I would say. But I'll say this: the game's at Evergreen, and this isn't the same seasoned, veteran-laden Archbold team we've seen over the last decade or more. If Evergreen was ever going to pull one out against them, this would be the year to do it. But Archbold's still Archbold. And I think they proved last week against an undefeated Delta that they are still Archbold, and they get it done.
I'll find out here for you the last time Evergreen beat them. Back to 2017 they won. 2015, Evergreen beat Archbold 28-26.
Close one.
Yep.
And 2015, almost
a decade ago.
Almost a decade.
It's the only one I'm finding. I'm back to 2007. Well, 2005 they lost.
To Evergreen?
Yep.
So about every 10 years.
Well, 2006 they did too.
Back to back.
16. Yep.
Back to back.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yep. Wauseon 2-3, 2-0 in the league so far. They're at Patrick Henry, who's also 2-0. This is what you look at Wauseon and Patrick Henry most years, and you see them both 2-0. This is a pretty big game, but PH is a pretty heavy favorite in this one, though, as the Indians try to get to 3-0, but I don't think they're going to do it on the road against the Patriots.
Go ahead, Neil.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's not going to happen this Friday night. Patrick Henry, I think, is just too much. Another case of, if you're Patrick Henry, take care of business, stay healthy, and, get in and out of there and get ready for next week.
I don't know if anyone is as good against teams they're supposed to beat. Anyone's better than Patrick Henry outside of Liberty Center and Central Catholic and those guys. Rarely over the last 30 years has Patrick Henry lost a game where going in you thought they would probably win. And that's a result of Bill Inselman getting those kids reined in and focused every single week. And there's nobody better than Bill at doing that. What Patrick Henry's been able to do with the way their schedule's set up, outside of the Columbus Grove game where they really had to kind of let it fly, so to speak, where you have Lincoln Kreger running a ton in games like the Bryan game. He's not even going to tote it double-digit times, and guys like him and Grant Smith and those guys don't have to carry as much of the load. They've been able to take a little bit of the beating off their body. They're going to need it next week. They're going to need to be as fresh as they can. And I think this is a game where Bill, he may or may not admit this, but do just enough to win comfortably and convincingly. But, this isn't a game where you're going to see Lincoln Kreger carry it 20 times from his quarterback position. No. They'll spread the ball around. I think their young receivers are getting better. I still think Patrick Henry's defense is really, really, really good. And I like him at home. Bill's going to have them locked in.
Allowing 8.2 points per game so far, the Patriots. Now, their schedule is in the 600 strength of schedule.
I believe it.
Outside of Columbus Grove, have not faced a real gauntlet so far, have the Patriots. Swanton 0-5, 0-2 in the NWAL, scoring just 3.8 points per game, giving up 44.8. They are at Delta, who was stinging from that loss to Archbold. Panthers now 4-1, 1-1 in the NWAL, 36 points per game, giving up 15.2. I don't see the Panthers having much trouble in this one.
No, and Mike Vickers, with his pedigree as a head coach, I mean, he's going to, after a loss like last week, they're going to fine-tune things. They're going to learn from it. He's a great teacher of the game of football, and so Delta will be better for that loss. It'll make them better, and Swanton's going to feel the brunt of that Friday night.
Yeah, it's just a bad time to be headed over to Delta Stadium if you're Swanton. I mean, they're coming off that first loss of the season. Kids are going to want to make a statement with this game that was a fluke per chance. I don't know, but if you're Swanton, it's a bad week to be going to Delta. This one could get out of hand.
Catholic High School League this week, Varsity Central Division action. St. John's still looking for their first one of the season. They are at Birmingham Brother Rice, who was 1-3, 0-1 in the division. 10.5 points per game for Brother Rice, giving up 32.5. St. John's scoring 11.4, giving up 34.4. So points per game allowed, pretty similar in this one. Did the Johnnies get their first victory?
As you look at this game on paper, and not that we want to look too far ahead in the schedule, but we're past the midway point. We have to start doing it. This is a must-win game for St. John's. It is probably must-win game for St. John's. It's probably the closest matchup based on where things are sitting today that they have on the horizon in Brother Rice. Look back early in season, you find two common opponents that both have had. River Rouge, St. John's lost 12-6 in overtime. Brother Rice beat them last week 14-7. So pretty close matchup there. And St. Francis, St. John's lost last week 44-30. Brother Rice lost 49-28. So you don't learn a whole lot from the common opponents, but you have to maybe peel the onion back a little bit and say, if you're 0-5, you just lost the 10th for the first time in 10 years against your rival opponent. My question is, where's the gut? Where's St. John's kids' guts at right now? I mean, obviously, doesn't feel good. Can the coaches get them back focused? Road game, you got to get on the bus. You got to head up to Brother Rice. You got Brother Rice, who's obviously looking at this as an opportunity for them as well. I mean, they're having some struggles at 1-3, 0-1 in the conference too. So they have this one circled as well. I'm going to take Brother Rice at home because I think it's a thin margin, and I think that they're going to take advantage of being at the home field.
I guess I'll go because I was really hoping to give you guys both a not so fast. I thought for sure you were going to go with the Johnnies, Neil. Lynn, I thought you would lean that way.
I'm going Brother Rice.
Yeah, okay, it's a sweep then. I didn't think it would be. Yeah, I too have Birmingham Brother Rice. Interesting, Neil, a couple of those numbers you mentioned. It's thin.
Very thin.
It's thin, but Brother Rice is at home, and St. John's, again, just finding a way to win versus finding a way to lose. Give me Brother Rice.
Yeah, now, if Hammock, who I mentioned, and his platoon of receivers, if they can start getting hot, they showed some signs and showed some flashes, ability to score, ability to sustain drives. If they're hitting on all cylinders, they can get it done, but they got to, not kill themselves on penalties and stay in it for 4 quarters.
You wouldn't be surprised if the Johnnies went up there.
I wouldn't, because I think that this is a super thin margin. Would not be surprised, but...
Well, then why are all of us picking the same team?
Because you guys want to keep pace with this guy. and listen, who could blame you? My track record speaks for itself, for crying out loud.
Oh, boy. Oh, jeez. CHSL Varsity AA Division this week. Detroit U of D Jesuit at St. Francis. The Knights now 4-1, scoring almost 40 points per game.
2 things that I think you absolutely cannot overlook on what's going on with St. John's right now. Or excuse me, St. Francis. Number 1, momentum. They've got it on their side. They've been rolling for the last 4 weeks in a row. Maybe more importantly, belief. Those kids have belief in the product that they're putting on the field every night. They got belief in their coaching staff. They're going to need this one. The next 3 weeks will be a bigger test at Lumen Christi, who is a state finalist. I know they might have won state last year, at Divine Child, and then Central Catholic at home. So the next 3 weeks are definitely a test for St. Francis. I think that they take care of business here this Friday night, though.
All you have to know about this game when you're talking about belief is I believe in the Knights, so I'm taking them, and you guys better too. You're a fool if you don't take the Knights this week, Strock.
I'm not going to pick against them. I made that mistake when they went up to Bob Bishop Stadium at Clyde, and fool me once, shame on you.
They wanted to know where Strock was last week.
Duty
they wanted to know.
Duty called.
They wanted to know
where
you were at.
They still don't want this smoke, I can promise you that.
Last Thursday night when we rolled up there.
I would have loved to have gone. I really would have.
I don't think they would have let you on the premises.
They might not have.
They had to wait in the car.
They had signs out, no Tory Strock.
Yeah.
Well, at the entrance there on Bancroft.
And that may be true, but there's plenty of places where I'm welcome. I can promise you that. No, I like St. Francis as well. They become more and more dangerous. Just think what so many of those kids have been through with the inconsistency and lack of continuity in the coaching staff and things like that. And, watching Central and all those guys up there have all the fun. And now is their time, and I'm tickled for them. And Josh Linke, just a class act.
I tell you what, and for those who have been to Leiden Stadium there at St. John's, you would have struggled to find a place to sit on that visitor sideline last Friday night. Wow. And it was standing room only the entire way around the north end zone. The community's behind them. and then just, post game, either with my interviews or just watching the kids interact, just the pride they have in what they're doing. It's they're a dangerous team right now.
Schuller, you got the pulse of the Toledo area. Are there some beliefs that the Knights can make the game with Central here in a couple weeks close? Can it be competitive, at least for a half or three quarters, as opposed to what it's been here as of late?
I think that they will compete, definitely at a level.
Can they keep it within 2-3 scores?
Man,
putting the pressure on him here.
It's tough.
I need to know.
Here's the thing. If you would have asked me maybe even before that De La Salle game, I'd have said, yeah, I think that this could be a 2 or 3 score game. What Central did going up to De La Salle was unbelievable. Man, oh man. I mean, I think it's going to be tough. It's a tough tale. I don't think they're there yet to take out Central.
I'm not asking if they can beat them. I just want to know if they can keep it.
They will compete.
Come somewhat close.
They've got playmakers. I'm telling you what.
Shellacked.
Yeah, and they've got playmakers and balance. If you start to cover their receiving core, Eli Beal's going to burn you, right? You start putting all your focus on the run game, Corey Swartz is going to find Raheem Brown and some of his other targets, Tucker and those guys, and they'll start picking you apart that way. So you're going to have to play balanced defense to stop them.
They got some nasty guys up front. Does St. Francis?
They've got some size, more so than I've seen before, and guys that just grind 4 quarters.
Love it.
Yep.
Man, it's a recipe.
Yeah, it is. Take another break, come back, and talk about this week's Western Buckeye League action. American Freedom Energy and Grandma's General Store off Route 24 on State Route 109, just south of Liberty Center, now has 88 unleaded fuel and is your one-stop shop for fuel, food, drinks, and much, much more, including locally raised meats and home-baked goods. American Freedom Energy and Grandma's General Store is proud to support Black Swamp Football and is the host of the Black Swamp Football podcast, football show, and Saturday mornings Rise and Rewind. Stop in and see Glenn and Greg today and make American Freedom Energy and Grandma's General Store a part of your everyday routine. Thank you to Glenn and Greg Badenhop here at American Freedom Energy, Grandma's General Store, for their continued support and hosting us each week. Rise and Rewind. What time we go on Saturday morning, Strock?
Got the Bowling Green State University Falcons homecoming Saturday. Doesn't start till 5 o'clock. So we can, you know what? Let's do, if it's okay with you, I want to go at 8 a.m.
Okay.
And I'll tell you one of the big reasons why. I like to reward loyalty. And Jeff Chapman is one of our loyal listeners, and he simply asked if we could maybe consider starting a little earlier so he didn't have to have College Game Day on mute while he finished Rise and Rewind as a one-time show of gratitude.
So Jeff Chapman's life is more important than my sleep. Is that what you're saying?
Well, Jeff Chapman's request does trump your sleep, and
see where I stand. Come on, Chappie, you're killing me.
Let's go 8 a.m.
Okay.
I think that's what people, they want that coffee's brewing, and I think that hour between 8 and 9 is
it imperative?
An hour. Think it is.
Good
I do.
Lord, you guys couldn't do an hour if there was a prize at the end of the hour.
I think the fans want it. Let's go 8 a.m.
Okay.
Let's go 8 a.m. I want to get to BG and kind of get settled in. There's a big concert there. I'll tell you something about that game. They have Old Dominion coming in, and Old Dominion's 0-3. They had a bye this last week. Don't be fooled. Old Dominion, South Carolina eked it out in week 1. South Carolina's pretty good. Eked it out. Virginia Tech was another loss, and their third loss was another Power 5 team that barely beat them. Well, they're going to be a handful for Bowling Green, I'm just telling you.
Well, and here's the thing. I mean, anything can happen. You look at Toledo goes down, SEC country with a dominant win, and then, a loss last week to Western Kentucky.
Yeah.
So anything can happen any given Saturday.
It's absolutely true.
Yep.
Western Buckeye League, the Defiance Bulldogs, they're on quite a roll here. Now 3-2, 3-1 in the WBL. They are hosting Kenton, who is 1-4 and 1-3 in the Western Buckeye League so far. Defiance's strength of schedule 122. Kenton's is 276. Bulldogs keep it rolling, pick up their 4th straight.
They do, but upset alert here.
Oh.
Upset alert here.
Defiance has got some injuries, I know.
Well, I mentioned on Rise and Rewind, Abel Rubio.
Been out since week 2 against Walpock.
Yes.
Early in that one.
And what tells you a little something about Defiance's resilience and resolve. They were able to beat St. Mary's with, if you don't know Abel Rubio, I mean, he's a tough son of a gun, an Iron Man on both sides of the ball. But Canton is looking for that breakout game. They've been close. I like Defiance. I expect Defiance to get it done, but if they don't take care of the football and get a little careless, Kenton could get them. I don't think they will, but they could.
Give me Defiance. I think Coach Coop's got those guys heading the right way. They're going to move to 4-2 this week. I don't think it's an upset alert at all. Coach Coop, go get them. I think they will be just fine.
Yeah, no upset alert for me either. Defiance rolls.
I think our listeners know who to hitch their wagon to when we're...
The Defiance fans aren't going to hitch their wagon to you.
Oh, I guarantee. You think Travis Cooper's not talking about that to his boys?
Oh, Travis Cooper gives that talk every week when they're, no matter who they're playing.
Maybe true.
You know that's true. I don't want to hear that coach talk up here.
Maybe
Get that out of here. St. Mary's now 3-2, 2-2 in the WBL. They're at Van Wert, who is searching for their first Western Buckeye League at 0-4, 1-4 overall. Only win was that victory over Bryan to start the season. Cougars are scoring some points, 25.4, but they're giving up 33.8. Briston Wise, their outstanding quarterback, has been much of their offense. Can the Cougars get a win at Eggers Stadium over the Rough Riders?
I don't think it's going to happen this week. I think St. Mary's is too much. They're going to take the road win here against Van Wert, who's another one of those teams that's looking for some answers, and they're not going to find them this Friday. Just give me St. Mary's.
Nope, I agree. I don't really have anything to add to that. St. Mary's will go in there and take care of business. And like a lot of these games in the WBL, could be closer than people expect. But, the WBL, I think, is one of the toughest leagues to pick week in and week out. This, with the OG Bath, is one of the toughest picks all week, I think. But the other games, I think, are fairly cut and dried in this league.
I think this one's going to be closer than what you two think. Don't be surprised.
You got an upset alert on
Not upset, but I think it's going to be I think this will be a tougher game than what you think for the Rough Riders.
St. Mary's Van Wert?
Yep, I'm going to take the Rough Riders, but I think it's going to be close. I think it will be close. Shawnee, now 2-3, 1-3 overall in the WBL.
Salina, Elida.
Yeah, I'm getting to that one next.
Okay.
Yep, I'll get to that one next here. Walpock now undefeated, still on the season. Any chance that the Redskins get tripped up here?
I don't think so. I think Walpock stays undefeated. Another game, I think this is, Shawnee is going to make some noise, but at the end of the day, I think Walpock's too much, and we'll get the win to go to 6-0.
Get the Indians and the Redskins. Going to be a lot of war paint there down at Walpock. But Walpock rolls in this football game. They're just getting better and better.
Agree. Salina, 4-1, 3-1 in the WBL, scoring 32.8 points per game at Elida, who is 1-4 and winless so far in the Western Buckeye League.
Yep, Salina, wondered what they do for an encore. Were they just a flash in the pan? They've showed some consistency after that outstanding season a year ago, and I like them to roll at Elida. I don't see them letting down this week.
No, I don't either. I have Salina in this. Really nothing to add. I think that this could be a couple score game easy.
I think this one will be tight. I know he's had some quarterback injuries down there. I think they've gotten him back. I think this one's closer than what you expect. They played Bath really tough a week ago. What did that end up, 62-56 or something crazy like that?
62-56.
Yeah, huh?
There's a couple ways you can look at that.
I think Salina's going to win this one, but another one that's I don't know that it's going to be a runaway, maybe like some expect if you kind of look at the records. Finishing up the WBL this week, OG 2-3, 2-2 in the WBL is at Bath, who is yet to taste defeat in the Western Buckeye League. Is there right there with Walpock is the only other 4-0 team. Bath going to continue to roll, or is Ken Schreiner and crew going to throw a wrench in that?
I like Bath in this one. I think their firepower is a little bit too much, but I'm going to tell you this. The defense needs to step up. They're giving up 34 points a game on average. They gave up 56 to Elida last week. If they're going to get it done, the defense is going to have to step up because Ken Schreiner will make you pay for that. But I think Bath will keep it rolling, and I'm going with Bath.
Go ahead, Grolly. I want to pull up the rear on the WBL here.
I'm going to take Bath, but this is another one. Don't be surprised if the Titans pull a surprise. You going to take the Titans here?
Well, the one thing I think our loyal listeners have learned about me is that I have courage to pick a game where others might not, i.e. Archbold over Delta this past week and a slew of others over the last couple of years. This one's no exception. Bath's the favorite on paper. Bath is the home team, but when you know, you know. Ottawa Glandorf gets it done.
This is going to be the Titan team that showed up against Liberty Benton in week 1 and lost 34-6.
No.
The team that played St. Mary's tough a week ago, 21-16 loss to the Rough Riders on the road. I think that OG team's going to show up again.
Ottawa Glandorf gets it done.
They've split wins and losses all year. They're due for a win this week, if you're going by that.
Toughest pick.
I agree with that. I think that one's going to be
one of the toughest picks of the whole week. Maybe the toughest, in my opinion. Fairview Paulding's probably a tough pick. We didn't pick.
Yeah.
OG Bath, I think, is the toughest one. One of the toughest ones this week.
Okay. Let's take a break. We'll come back and talk about the Blanchard Valley Conference.
Hard-working individuals have been the heart of the Gerken companies for generations. Together, we construct the highways and infrastructure that strengthen our communities. Gerken is seeking rock-solid performers. We offer generous benefits, continuous training, top-notch equipment, and a culture that rewards effort. Want to be part of something big, steady, and stable with room to grow? Whether you're experienced or just starting your career, we encourage you to apply at gerkencompanies.com/careers.
Welcome back to the Black Swamp Football Podcast presented by the Gerken Companies. BVC this week, Thursday night matchup. Lipsick at Riverdale had some officiating scheduling conflicts, so they had to move a game up to get officials for this one. Lipsick at Riverdale on Thursday night.
We've talked about this with some other teams. Both of these teams winning the games that they should, but struggling with the other games, right? And not able to, maybe get over that hump on those. And, coming into this matchup, I think this is a close one. I think Lipsick is a bit further along. I'm going to take the Vikings. But this one, I think, could be a close matchup. And who's going to emerge? Who's going to take a step forward here between these two? I'm going with the Vikings to do it.
Lipsick will absolutely roll.
Agreed.
In this football game. They will absolutely roll down in Mount Blanchard. What a sign of the times, though. Had to move it to Thursday to get officials. We're going to see more of this. I hope not.
I think they have a few more. The Blanchard Valley, I know, has a few more Thursday. And maybe they have I can't remember if they had any Saturday adjustments or not. But, yeah, they had their officiating crews that work that league.
Yeah.
Tough for them this year.
Yeah, so kudos to them for making the necessary adjustments. And if you're, it's one of those things, I don't think that day early is going to affect things much, but if you're Lipsick, you really don't mind that because that gives you an extra day to watch Macomb. You go watch Macomb in person then Friday night.
Yep.
I think that's fine.
Extra day of health.
Extra day of health, absolutely.
Yep. Riverdale, 2 victories over 0-5 Bucyrus and 0-5 Arcadia. Vikes roll big in that matchup for me.
Yep.
Friday in the BVC, Pandora Gilboa still leading the BVC at 3-0 with Liberty Benton. Rockets 3-2 overall, scoring 23.6, giving up 27.4 at Elmwood. who is 0-5 and 0-3 winless in the BVC, scoring just 6.8 points per game are the Royals, and they're giving up 41.4 so far. Any chance that the Royals can drum up some magic and make this one competitive?
Not a chance, not any conceivable chance does that, in no conceivable way does that happen. Pandora Gilboa started 0-2 against a combined 10-0 Grove and Bluffton. They beat a good Arlington team last week, 49-28. They beat a good Lipsick team the week before that.
Sanded Van Buren, 41-14.
Yeah, the only team left now. Ada's actually a good football team.
Yeah, they are.
Ada's a good football team. They were Northwest Conference for 100 years. So I forget about them being in the BVC. So there'll be a challenge for Pandora Gilboa, but outside of Liberty Benton, Pandora Gilboa rolls, and they'll roll against Elmwood.
Yep, I agree with everything you said. PG's rolling. Elmwood is the exact opposite. PG's going to name their score.
I'm going to take the Rockets as well in that matchup. They have Liberty Benton on the road next week.
That's going to be a good one.
It's going to be a good one. Liberty Benton will be the favorite on paper, but I'll tell you what, Pandora Gilboa, we saw them week one. They're a good football team.
Liberty Benton, 4-1. Only loss over this season has been to Columbus Grove, 3-0 in the BVC, as I mentioned, with the Rockets. 36 points per game for the Eagles, giving up just 12. They're at Arlington, who is 3-2, 1-2 in the BVC. Arlington scoring 34 points per game, giving up 30.6 so far this season. Arlington has an edge in strength of schedule, 393 overall. Liberty Benton is 524 in their strength of schedule. But as long as Liberty Benton's not looking ahead to next week in that matchup, I think they'll be fine against Arlington in this matchup.
Yeah, one of Arlington's losses comes at the hands of Van Buren, and Van Buren would never beat Liberty Benton. So that does it for me. Arlington has a rich football tradition, as I've mentioned many times. Isn't going to matter Friday night. Give me Liberty Benton.
Yep, Liberty Benton's going to go on the road here, get this win. Arlington's going to compete. They're a good football team. They're going to compete, but Liberty Benton is going to be too much.
Red Devils giving up too many points for me this season. 33 to Hardin Northern. Did a good job against Riverdale. Held them to 7. A lot of folks have done that, though. Gave up 43 to Ada. Gave up 21 to Van Buren, and then 49 a week ago to Pandora. So opponents have put up some points on Arlington so far this season. Matchup in the NWC this week, Columbus Grove. They are rolling 5-0, 2-0 in the league so far. 42.8 points per game, giving up just 9.4 at Allen East. The Mustangs, coached by Defiance College grad Joel Billings. Mustangs 3-2, 1-1 in the NWC, scoring 36.8, but giving up 28.8 so far this season.
Well, you give up that kind of points to a Columbus Grove team, it's going to bite you, and it's going to this Friday night. Grove is and will keep rolling at Allen East.
Yep. There isn't a whole lot you can say. Grove's going to be a prohibitive favorite in most of the rest of their games. And
till week 10.
Till week 10.
Against Bluffton, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I like the Bulldogs.
Wait, anybody pick Bluffton for that conference title?
I think somebody did.
Yeah.
Sitting at this table right now.
I told you, boys.
He's got a Bluffton hat, I know, too.
I'm telling you.
Were you going to wear that week 10?
Yeah. I'll break that out. I've been saving it.
You know, Eden and Ottawa Hills is that week, too. Were you going to have to change shirts in the middle of the show?
Well, I can wear the shirt. I can wear the hat.
Wristband.
I can wear the wristband. I'm telling you, people have been good to me.
Yeah.
And there's a reason I have all those things.
Maybe Mike Bum can come and you guys can do like a flex off.
He's got
changing
more work
shirts
to do.
out and
do it on camera.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Bummer would.
I know he would. He's not shy like you.
I wouldn't do it. Bummer would.
He's afraid to show off those pecs.
Yeah.
Bummer's not.
Bummer's abs look good. They look good.
Bummer. Playing golf without a shirt on.
Yeah.
Can you believe that?
Out of him, yes. Out of most people, no. But
Man.
Yeah. Yeah, I like Columbus Grove there.
Okay. TAC gets underway this week. Eden 5-0, scoring 46 points per game. That's the 17th most in the state. That defense isn't playing too shabby either, only giving up 13.4. They are at Montpelier, who is scoring 17.6, giving up 37.6 so far this season. This game was tight a year ago. I was at it. I don't think it's going to be tight at all this season. Kyler Sapp going to throw for a bunch of yards, run for a few. He'll have a bunch of touchdowns. Give me the Bombers big in this matchup.
Yeah, one thing about Bomber ball, it will travel. They will have their defense packed up with them. I think they're a different football team this year. What was the score last year, Lynn? I remember it being close, but...
Doggone it, I can't think right offhand. I'm going to have to look here.
And that was at Eden.
That was
last
at
year.
Eden, yeah. Yes. I think that may have even went to overtime. Let me find it here. 35-34.
Yep. Point game.
35-34 a year ago.
Eden won that 35-34.
Yep. Montpelier, if I remember correctly, went for 2 and didn't get it. Went for the win at the end.
You're right.
I know I'm right. I was there, Schuller. He's questioning my... Listen to this guy.
I'll be darned. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, if Montpelier can be there in the second half, I'll be impressed. But
I'll be impressed if they're in there in the second quarter.
Yeah, I mean
the way Eden's playing right now.
Yeah, what we saw the other night, man. If Eden's healthy, man, they don't just have 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 offensive guys. I mean, they've got them to burn. They really do.
Yeah, way too many weapons for Eden here. They're going to be all over the Locos early and often.
Yep, Bombers. Ottawa Hills now 4-1, scoring almost 40 points per game, giving up 13.6. They're at Northwood, who is 3-2 overall. Are the Rangers. Green Bears keep it rolling.
Well, I tell you, I mean, this is a matchup that over the years, I mean, Northwood has been in the driver's seat for a lot of years in this matchup, but
not anymore.
Not anymore. The Green Bears go over to Northwood into Rangerland and come out with the victory.
Yeah, these ain't your daddy's Green Bears.
No, sir.
It's a different version of Ottawa Hills football than maybe we thought we knew. They can be physical and nasty. I think they're going to be, but you always got to have your I's dotted and T's crossed when you play a Ken James coached football team. But Ottawa Hill just has too many dudes. They get it done.
Yes, they do. Hilltop is on a bye this week. They will get back in action in a couple weeks against Ottawa Hills in that matchup in 2 weeks in the Village. Let's take another break. We'll come back and talk about the NBC this week. Ready to hit the links? Grab your clubs and head to White Pines Golf Course at 1640 County Road 2 in Swanton. For a tee time or to sign up for their events, call 419-875-5535 or visit whitepinesgc.com. Also, sign up for their early membership of $885 or $796.50 for seniors 55 and older. Early membership is play now, and greens fees are covered for the rest of 2024 and all of 2025. When you play White Pines Golf Course, the experience will exceed your expectations. Welcome back to the Black Swamp Football Podcast presented by the Gerken Companies. NBC action this week. Maumee trying to snap their 2-game skid. They are at Lake on Friday night. Maumee scoring is allowing 24.8 points per game. Lake giving up 30 points per game so far this season.
Yep, 2 tough losses back-to-back for Maumee. That said, 2 losses to 5-0 teams, so nothing for Evan Karchner's crew to hang their head about. Panthers, they're going to get back on track this week against the Lake team that's now dropped their past 3 in a row. I look for Maumee to convincingly win over at Lake.
I think what would be a really good season for Maumee? 6-4? Would that be really good?
6-4. 7-3.
7-3. Yeah, I'm just looking at their schedule here. Rossford and Fostoria remain, along with Lake. I think they're the favorite in all three of those. And then, Genoa and Otsego would be the two that you would look at and say that's a thin margin. Mm-hmm. So just
great.
Just curious what you guys thought about that.
I think they need to beat Genoa or Otsego.
Yeah.
I think to move, to kind of from a measuring stick standpoint of saying, hey, you know what, we have taken a step forward in this NBC. I agree with you, Lynn.
3 wins so far against Springfield, 1-4, Bryan 0-5, Bowser 1-4,
2-13. Yeah.
A lot of teams are going to beat those teams. I think they need to beat Genoa or Otsego to say, oh, we took another step.
Yeah,
because they're going to be favorites, and I would say against Lake, Rossford, and Fostoria.
Yeah, and I think they can get one of those two.
But I think there are a lot of teams in our area that are beating teams that they're supposed to. Well, step it up and beat somebody you're not supposed to.
Yeah.
Just waiting for that.
Well, and here's the thing, too. They've got both Genoa and Otsego at home at Kazmaier Stadium, so those will be well-attended games for the home crowd.
Sure they will.
Yeah, and the Otsego game may have some playoff implications on it. Dare I say, as we wind down the season here, and 16 make it, so almost everybody gets in. But
we start
that could have some
matchups.
It could have some implications as far as getting Maumee into the playoffs or seeding possibilities for that one. We'll see how it plays out. But
yeah, I like Maumee at Lake. They closed the gap a little bit last week, 28-15 at Eastwood, so they were right there. But I like the Panthers to get it done at Lake.
I do too. I'll take the Panthers in that matchup. Eastwood is at Rossford this week. Eastwood scoring 41 points per game. Strength of schedule not great, 518. Rossford's strength of schedule is 354. Bulldogs giving up 33.6, so they're going to have to stiffen that defense if they want to hold Sam Cotterman's crew in check this week.
You got to explain this to me, and we all know this. It comes down to matchups and all that, right? But if you're Rossford, how do you lose 36-6 to Evergreen? 36-6, you lose to Evergreen, and then you take Otsego to the wire and lose 20-19. Make that make sense to me.
You're going to have to find somebody else to do that, because I have no idea.
Well, what about Port Clinton? 43-7?
I don't think Port Clinton is what they've been in the past few years, and what we've expect. They've lost the last 3 in a row to Oak Harbor.
I'm saying Rossford lost 43-7 to Port Clinton.
Right.
They got sanded.
Yeah,
that's an Ottawa Hills team that rolled over Port Clinton. So I don't know.
I can't figure. I think that when we get to the end of the season for the Rossford Bulldogs, that week 4 is going to stand out as a bit of a fluke, in my own opinion, and that's no disrespect to Coach Drewsback. Tremendous man over there, and I respect him a lot, but Eastwood is going to roll in and give them as much of a fit as Oak Harbor did this past week. They're just way too much against a Rossford team who's lost the last 4 and is going to make it 5.
Agreed.
Yep, no argument here. I like Eastwood in this one. Watching the highlights, Lynn, from that Oak Harbor Rossford game, and watching the quarterback and the running back from Oak Harbor,
Michael Alond and Carson Reidner.
It wasn't a fluke what we saw at Maumee.
I tell you, it wasn't a fluke.
They did the same thing, man.
Until you see him in action, there's no fluke.
No.
Otsego and Genoa, a matchup of two teams trying to keep pace with Eastwood and Oak Harbor here as we get into the meat of the conference schedule. How do you think this one's going to go? Both similar strength of schedule. Genoa 383, Otsego 374. Knights scoring 15.8. Scoring 23.2, giving up 15.8. Genoa scoring 34.2, giving up 15.4. Genoa, you could look at it and probably say their offense is a little bit better at this point, but is this a toss-up matchup?
It is a toss-up, and talked about Ottawa Glandorf Bath being kind of a tough pick. This is one of the top 3 toughest, I think, this week. The game being at Genoa. I would say Genoa, if I'm setting odds, is probably the favorite on paper. But the games aren't played on paper, and this is the one where the Craig Rutherford factor rears its head. And don't be fooled, I mentioned the close win against Rossford. It makes you question Otsego a little bit. I think Otsego goes on the road and gets it done at Genoa in a game that comes down to the final minutes. Give me the Knights.
You got 2 4-1 teams here. I agree on everything you said. I think that this is a coin toss type game. You look back week 3, Genoa beats a 4-1 Huron team, which is a tough squad year in and year out. They beat them 17-7. Outside of that, schedule's kind of a coin toss. I mean, Genoa's played Huron. Otsego's played Liberty Center. I would argue that Liberty Center is probably the tougher matchup. I agree. I think Otsego's going to go on the road here and get it done, and I think it's going to be a signature win for Craig Rutherford's Otsego Knights.
Aren't you just sucking up because Craig Rutherford and his dad are coming on our KK Collision football show this week?
Not a bit.
Because I thought I was going to pick up a game here. I thought both you turkeys had picked the Comets, and I'd get one here.
No.
Now I'm thinking about picking Genoa.
I can't ride with Genoa after they squandered that Archbold game.
I agree. They had that one in the bag.
They had it in the bag.
Throwing the ball when you have the...
I know.
Just run out the clock.
I tell you what, we're probably in a different conversation if that doesn't happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is razor thin. You know.
Tory, you mentioned comes down to the last minutes. I could not agree more.
Yep, I agree.
It could be a possession type thing.
Sure
right?
it could. Sure it could. Yep.
This is the other game I was a little undecided on this week, and now I feel like I need to switch my pick to maybe pick one up on you two.
The best thing you could do is just keep pace. When I do things like that, it makes sense. Because
I wish we would have talked to Craig Rutherford before we did our picks here. Pick his brain a little bit and see how he's feeling this week and his dad, too.
You ain't going to get anything out of him.
You got it, Neil.
I could get it out of him.
You got it.
I could get it out of him.
No shot.
There's
a good reporter gets it out of him.
No shot.
Not with these guys.
Yeah,
these guys are steel traps.
He'd snug up tighter than a snare drum anytime you try to get information.
Yep, and give you that smirk.
He's got you thinking that he knows more than you do. That's because he does.
I wish I could make a call to Bill Fisher and see how he's feeling about this matchup, too.
Make the call.
I'm going to go with Otsego. I can't.
That's a wise.
Feels good to do the right thing, doesn't it?
I don't know if it's the right thing.
It's going to be a great game.
I'll be kicking myself next week if Genoa pulls this one out.
It's going to be a good one.
It is going to be a good one.
I'll tell you what, Common Stadium, that's going to be a packed house for this game.
Yeah, sure will.
You bet.
8-man football, Northern 8 conference action this week. Fremont St. Joseph Central Catholic at Holgate. The Tigers are scoring 50 points per game so far, giving up just 13.3. Tigers at home. Do they keep it rolling and move to 4-0 and 3-0 in the Northern 8?
Yeah, this one doesn't need any analysis for me. I think Holgate rolls in this one and just keeps right on doing what they've been doing.
Thought I could maybe talk one of you into Fremont here, but no.
Well, I'm going to go with Holgate, but I'll say this. I thought about this one for a little bit this afternoon because I think of the Fremont St. Joe football tradition. You know, Todd Drewsbach was an all-state.
Well, is Todd Drewsbach playing quarterback this Friday?
Holy terror.
I know he was.
At Fremont St. Joe. We played him in the regional final my senior year at Bowling Green. Don't know if I told this story. They were loaded. They had Kevin Huntley, who went to Wisconsin. They had a tackle named Ben Hall, who went to Louisville. They came rolling in, maybe as a favorite, at least in their own mind, and they come out, as we're stretching at our end of the field at Bowling Green, they come out carrying a sledgehammer, and they circled us on the field. Okay, now if you're going to circle us carrying a sledgehammer, a Rex Lindgren coach football team, you better be able to back it up, pal. And all we did in the regional final is sand them 30-8. And they said they did that because they call themselves the sledgehammer defense. defense. And
How many did they give up that night?
Yeah, 30-8 was the final.
38-8.
30-8, and we put it on them really good there.
Did they give you the sledgehammer?
They didn't, but we were looking for it. And let's just
The sledgehammer.
The sledgehammer defense. That's a true story. And let's say our coaches knew how to use that as motivation. So I think about those Fremont St. Joe teams, but they ain't got the sledgehammer defense anymore. Okay, that hammer's been done broken. Holgate at home. Holgate at home. Try that there. Try carrying a ball peen hammer around Holgate and see what happens to you. Tigers are a different breed of cat this year, buddy. Give me Holgate. I'm fired up tonight.
Was Drew's back? Was he carrying around the sledgehammer?
He had graduated.
Oh, he was gone.
Yeah, he was gone.
I think he played against Archbold in '88, actually.
Yeah, that'd be
Loose. That was at Old Loose Field,
yeah,
I believe.
Yeah, he was more.
He was a little older than you.
Yeah, 87 to 90 era. He was a beast, but yeah, it's weird. You see Sandusky St. Mary's now.
Yeah,
same thing.
Yeah.
You know, Fostoria St. Wendelin's now defunct.
Yeah.
All proud traditions. Fremont St. Joe. I'm glad to see him still playing though.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Better than the alternative.
Yep.
Give me the Tigers. Well, I think they're going to put up some major points again. How about this matchup? I'm going to get the over-under for you guys. Points scored by Toledo Christian. Saturday night, they're at Stryker. Stryker's given up 51 points per game so far. Toledo Christian is putting up 41.8. What's the over-under? How many points that they could score?
I got the over-under. You can take the over or you can take the under. 64.5.
Just for Toledo Christian.
Yeah, just their point total.
Yes.
Just their point total, Toledo Christian.
I think they could score that many, but Andrew Skeels calls off the dog.
And that's why I said it where I did.
Yeah.
64.5.
I'd maybe put it at 50.
Would you?
Because I think they could score. I think they'll put up 28-35 in the first quarter.
Yeah, 50 I would take the over. Not because Coach Skeels would try to do something silly.
No, he's not going to.
Those kids, no matter who's in the game, they're going to play.
No, there's no doubt about it.
They're going to play, and you can't blame them for playing.
Right. That said, I mean, we saw last week, Toledo Christian, I think it was the end of the first quarter, their starters were pulled, right? So, how do you keep a machine rolling like a Toledo Christian, like a Central Catholic? When you get elite, you get your younger guys Friday night game experience, right? Get them in there, get them in the trenches, get them understanding the speed, the pace. So Coach Skeels will pull that off. Don't be surprised if they still don't pull up 65.
Yeah, I mean,
and if he kept starters in, it would be worse yet.
Yeah, yep.
I mean, they could put up a bunch if they kept them in, but man, the Eagles are gonna.
You bet.
Eagles are gonna roll. I don't know if anybody can touch them in the 8-man game around Ohio this season.
When is Toledo Christian Holgate? Lynn, you have that?
That is thinking maybe week 8.
Okay.
Let me look here.
Man, I hope that game's like on a Saturday or something.
Which one's that?
Toledo Christian Holgate.
It is October 18th.
Okay.
October 18th at
Holgate?
That's a Friday.
Toledo Christian.
That's a Friday. Is that week 9 of the?
That would be that'd be
Yep,
week 9 for the 11-man folks. Yep. Let's take a break and hear from K. Kern Painting. K. Kern Painting is a proud sponsor of Northwest Ohio Athletics. K. Kern Painting was formed in 1998 by Kenzie Kern in Toledo and now has a footprint in Toledo, Cleveland, and Michigan, and has road crews traveling throughout the United States. For a free estimate or job opportunities with K. Kern Painting, visit their website at kkernpainting.com or call 419-351-1250 or stop by their Toledo location at 211 North Reynolds Road. Welcome back to our podcast presented by the Gerken Companies. Northern Lakes League gets underway this week. Start in the Buckeye Division. Northview still looking for their first victory of the season, and they got a tough one to open up Buckeye Division play at Perrysburg. The Jackets allowing just 7 points per game so far. Boy, have they been stingy on defense, and they've put up some points on offense too. 35.2 points per game for the Jackets. Northview coming in, averaging just 2.8 points per game, giving up 45.8 points per game so far. Boy, this is a tough ask for the Wildcats.
Yeah, this is a pretty lopsided one to open up Buckeye Division play here. As you said, Perrysburg rolling at Steinecker Stadium. It'll be a packed crowd. That student section, if you've never been to Steinecker Stadium for a game, man, oh man, the Swarm.
Yep.
They're phenomenal. Perrysburg is going to be way too much for a really Northview team.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot here. This one's kind of reminiscent of Swanton and Liberty Center last week. It's going to be what it's going to be. You want to see both teams come out of there healthy. And maybe Northview's able to find some things on film they feel good about. I mean, maybe not, but maybe. And so that's really all you can do. I think your expectations have to be realistic, and you're looking for something to build on, something to believe in going forward. But it's going to be all Yellow Jackets here.
I'm going to take the Jackets as well in that matchup. I haven't got to our game one game of the week yet.
We just got there.
Did we get there? Is it next?
It is next.
Whitmer at Anthony Wayne. That's the game one game of the week.
Yes, it is.
That's where Schuller will be.
Yep, out at Schuller Stadium this Friday night for what I think is going to be a great Buckeye Division matchup.
You want to make your pick, or does Schuller have to give you some?
I know all I need to know, and I'm going to tell you. I have the propensity to make some big-time picks.
Bold, and, some might say. Bold.
Bold is a good word. That escaped me. Bold. I'm going to go with Whitmer. Okay? But I had a really, 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 really hard time highlighting them on my paper. A really hard time highlighting them. And the only reason I did is I just think they're going to have a little too much firepower offensively. To me, you can kind of, I know they have a bunch of really good athletes in that. To me, you can kind of wipe that out with Anthony Wayne's scheme and discipline and things like that. They're so well coached. But at the end of the day, I don't think Anthony Wayne's going to be able to keep up with them. If AW wins this, I'm going to kick myself because it was all I could do not to pick them. But I'm going to go with Whitmer.
I'm going to go with Whitmer, too. I think they have too many weapons in this matchup.
I know we don't normally do this. Give me a score.
Me or Schuller?
You. He's not picking.
Yeah, I can't pick. That's true. He's going to the game. I forgot about that. 35-17 Panthers.
Okay. I'm not giving a score. I just wanted to know what you thought.
They take control. I think they take control in the second half. I think it'll be maybe like 13-10 at half, and then the Panthers show their mettle in the second.
I know what's going to happen. We're going to be on our way home from Fairview, okay? And I try to drive so Lynn can start his game recaps on his computer.
He's like a maniac.
Very generous, by the way.
He's like a maniac.
Anybody who knows me knows that's not true.
Two-wheeling it around curves. And
how are you supposed to do anything with that?
I can't get nothing done. And then he expects me to get up at 6 a.m. the next morning to do Rise and Rewind because Chappie wants to
tailgate,
watch game day.
Hey.
See what I go through, Schuller.
It's worth it, though. It's worth it, though. I'm telling you, we're going to be on our way home. Lynn's going to be doing his recap, and I'm going to go. Tell me about the stats and how did Anthony Wayne win that? And he's going to start recapping it, and I'm going to say, I knew I should have taken it.
Well, then why don't you?
Because I took a leap last week with that Archbold game. I can only do one of those every couple weeks. Ottawa Glandorf over Bath, I think, took some intestinal fortitude there this week, but I can't do it again. Andy Brungard, Go get them, dude. But I'm going with the Panthers.
Easy way out. Always talking a big game, and then you don't make the pick.
And I spent some time with those AW kids this year, man. And
You think that makes a difference?
I think it does. I think when times get tough, they draw on that.
Well,
they do.
They're in the huddle going, hey, who was that guy that was in our locker room?
Yeah, exactly. Who was that guy?
Yeah,
That's what they're saying, all right.
Yeah. And then it inspires. But that's going to be interesting. And you get to be there,
The
Schuller.
one thing I can guarantee you is this is going to be a physical matchup.
Dude, you might have to park down at JoJo's Pizza.
There's a good chance of it and get a golf
shuttled
cart
in.
shuttle or something. Yeah, it's either that or get out there at noon or something because it'll be a packed house. There's no question about it.
Rounding out the Buckeye division this week, Findlay is at Springfield. Trojans 2-3, Blue Devils 1-4 so far this season.
Springfield's got a couple dudes, don't they, Neil?
They've got a few athletes on the, Springfield, obviously their record, they don't get talked about enough. There's some tremendous athletes. They got a great running back who runs physical. Their quarterback is good. He's poised. They've got a couple good receivers. The linebacker, give me a second here.
You were lobbying for him for some NLL accolades.
Greg Pazinski still should be in that discussion. He is a tremendous linebacker. So they've got some guys. There's no question about it. I like the resilience I saw in Findlay that they showed last week. Go to the wire in what had to be an exhausting matchup at Clay with whatever it was, the video game numbers as we talked about. Coach Adams got them settled back down, focused on what was in front of them last week with Fremont. Ross came away with that 21-7 victory. Springfield, a team that's still looking to find their way. I think that they're making progress. They're still not quite there. Findlay's going to win this game, but Springfield's going to have something to say about it.
Yep. I like Findlay. As you were talking, Neil, I'm thinking about Springfield, and I know down in the junior high grades they have some absolute studs.
They do.
I was talking to some of our 8th graders today at school. They played Springfield last week. They've got some just studs. They got to keep them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Keep them in-house. But they've got a good coach at the 8th grade level. I don't know if you know this or not. One, Will Scott.
Oh. He's coaching their 8th grade.
Yes, sir.
I talked to Will Scott's father, Tony Scott, last week at school, and he did not tell me that. Yeah. So
I ran into, when I was up, when we had our game of the week there, I ran into Will.
Good for Will.
Will was pointing out a few of his guys and telling them, hey, there's a guy you're going to need to talk to.
Well, I'm going to tell you, it's huge. Number one, good for Will for giving back. But I'm going to tell you something else. You want to keep kids there? Here's a kid, Will Scott, that could have gone a lot of other places, okay? And he was loyal to that school and to his teammates that he grew up with. And his sister, who's, you may see her in the Olympics someday, she never wavered.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so I like that, having him at that level. Very good. But I'm going to go with Findlay.
I'm going to go with the Trojans as well. NLL Cardinal division action this week. Going to start with Napoleon at Fremont Ross.
Game last year that, Tory, you and I both covered this game last year. Some of us did a little more running than others. I'm not going to, get into that. Cinda can tell you if you want to find out. Cinda has the answer to that. Close game, and I think that this was a game that we went into this last year saying this could, perhaps go either direction. In my opinion, a Trey Rubenstein pick six early in that half was a momentum changer in this game, and quite honestly, a momentum changer for Napoleon's season from there on out, because they only went on to find themselves in the Cardinal Division Championship game against Southview and took them to the wire. On the road to Fremont Ross, Don Paul Stadium, one of the best venues in Northwest Ohio, in my opinion. But the Wildcats are going to continue to make their case for that Cardinal Division Championship, and they're going to get it done this Friday at Fremont Ross.
Agreed.
Napoleon.
Good pick, Schuller. Yep. I like that pick.
Wildcats. I actually was replying to it. I've got some intelligence out there, boys, and I was just reaching out for some intel on something. But here's the thing, man. Fremont Ross, they're clinging to life right now. This is just as it was a springboard for Napoleon last year, as you said, Neil. I agree. The Trey Rubenstein pick 6 set the tone. Here's my intel. Okay.
Never prepared. I know he's never prepared.
No, but it never ends. See?
Gee.
My flow of information never ends, guys.
That's what you do over the weekend to get prepared for the show, and all Monday afternoon.
I do it.
You don't come rolling in here and then think you're going to start hitting the airwaves.
But I never
tuned
sleep.
into the radio legends last week. That's all they talked about. Be prepared when you show up. You hear text messaging. You can't keep a train of thought.
They don't have the sources I have.
Jeez, they don't need them because they prepare.
Well,
Dave Cluck rolled in here with 7 legal pads.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I've got my legal pad.
Yeah, look at the size of that thing.
Well, when you have this, you don't need that.
That's
believe you me, if Cluck would have had one more legal pad, he needed a dolly to get him in here.
That's like a paragraph for Clucker.
Yeah, what are we doing?
Oh, I know. I've worked with Clucker for a long time, and that being prepared, he ain't kidding. Oh my, it's like he's getting prepared for Monday Night Football every game with his depth charts and stuff like that. Fremont Ross, this could salvage a lot. Napoleon's got to be careful, but I picked Napoleon to win the Cardinal Division from day one, and I'm not going to waver on that. I think Napoleon's got the pieces to do it. They're going to be challenged here Friday night, but Fremont Ross doesn't have enough offense to win this football game.
Only scoring 10.6 points per game.
Yeah, that ain't going to be enough. And Owen Espinoza he'll get it done through the air. Napoleon's going to win this game, but it may be close at halftime. I'll just say that.
Okay.
I'll give you that.
I'll take Napoleon as well. Also in the NLL Cardinal Division this week, Bowling Green is at Clay. Both teams 3-2 so far this season.
Well, if you would have told Coach John Gallius you're going to be 3-2 headed into Cardinal Division play, I think that he would be well pleased to be in that position, and I'm sure that he is. Bowling Green, been on a bit of a momentum roll here lately, but this is a Clay offense that we have talked about. It is as high of an octane offense as anywhere in Northwest Ohio.
This is at Springfield and Northview this week.
Correct. Clay's defense will do enough to slow down that BG run game. BG's defense will not do enough to slow down Clay's offense. Give me the Clay Eagles in this one, as they look to make their mark and statement for this Cardinal Division run.
Bowling Green's best offense, Bowling Green's best defense will be their offense.
The clock.
And if Mason Heinschel doesn't have the ball, they can't score it. Now, getting it done, that's a whole nother ball game. If Bowling Green can possess the football, they're going to be there into the third quarter. But I've got to go with Coach Gallius and the Clay Eagles. This game's interesting to me because I've said it many times, saying we would all probably agree, Bowling Green has beaten the teams they were supposed to beat, like many others. They haven't gotten that quote-unquote signature win yet the last few years. This would be one of those. I'm going with Clay, but Bowling Green has everything to play for here.
Yep, and I mean, could not be two different types of offenses here.
Absolutely. It's kind of like Eden and Whiteford last week.
Yeah. Bowling Green, strength of schedule 317, Clay's 51, case closed, Eagles.
Yeah, well, the crossover automatically jacks your strength of schedule through the roof, man.
Without doubt.
Yeah.
And then you pick up that win on Finley.
Yep.
that bodes well for the computer points and everything else.
Yep.
Give me Clay in that matchup. I know you're not texting John Gallius because he wouldn't return your your calls the way you've treated the Eagles this season.
Kidding.
I think John Gallius looks at some of my statements and says, tells his wife, babe, he's right. Coach Strock's right. We haven't proven it. And so when you look deep into John Gallius' soul, he knows I'm right.
I'd like to get John Gallius' opinion on that one.
He's so
Coach,
nice.
if you're listening,
he is
text me.
Such a good guy.
Oh, yeah.
He wouldn't say anything bad even if he thought it.
Got one more break to get in here, and then we'll come back and talk about some non-conference games this week.
High school seniors, uncertain that college is right for you? Concerned about the cost of higher education? At the Gerken Companies, we offer rewarding livelihoods even without a degree. That's a good living straight out of high school with no tuition debt. Starting pay between recent college grads and those with high school diplomas is closer than you might think. So if you enjoy teamwork, working outdoors, and being part of something meaningful, consider your options at gerkencompanies.com/careers.
Thank you to the Gerken Companies, again, title sponsor of our podcast this season. Got 3 non-conference games left here to pick in week number 6. Going to start with Toledo Scott at Southview. Cougars went through that gauntlet of Findlay, Perrysburg, and Whitmer the last 3 weeks, and now they try to get back on track against Scott before playing the final 4 weeks against Cardinal Division opponents. Steve Hardy and crew, I know they're beat up a little bit, didn't get out of that 3-game slugfest.
Yep.
With some powerful Division I foes there unscathed. Still enough to stay in the Cardinal Division hunt.
I believe that they're still in the hunt. They are banged up. There's no question. They're maybe a little beyond week 6 banged up at the moment, but going through that gauntlet, I don't know how anybody can be. This is a good time for Southview to have Scott. They will win this game, give them a chance to kind of regroup a little bit, get some momentum back under them as they then get ready to close out the final 3 weeks in that Cardinal Division hunt. I think it's still a 3-horse race between Napoleon Clay and Southview, but within the next week, no more than 2, we're gonna maybe be down to 2 horses.
Do you like Clay, Neil, now?
I like Clay right now. I picked Southview to win. I like Clay right now.
Okay.
I like Clay the whole time. Tried to get you guys on board back in August, but you wouldn't.
I told you, they don't have enough of an edge. They don't have enough nasty in them. And that's why I can't get on that. I like Napoleon still. I'm not going to waver from that. But it's hard to bet against Heinschel, let's be honest. But I'm staying with my Cats. I just wanted to know if either of you changed your tune.
I don't change my picks. I didn't change mine.
I said Napoleon from day one. I'm not changing.
But you're starting to creep on that.
He's starting to make a narrative.
Yeah, he's starting to creep to that Clay.
I'm trying to give you guys an opportunity to jump on board with me.
Ain't gonna happen.
I left the door kind of sucking up to John Gallius this week on the show.
Yeah,
he's setting the stage. He's setting the stage.
He hasn't proven it to me yet.
Yeah, hey, week 11, he's gonna have a Clay T-shirt on. He went into the gift shop.
If they give me one,
now you'll just go buy one.
If they give me one,
my pick is still Southview, but you have to acknowledge the fact that they're pretty banged up, and Clay is not right now and surging. But they get back on track.
How about we make this deal with Tory Strock, Schuller?
I don't even know what it is, but I might be on board with this.
Okay. Week, let's see, 8, Napoleon at Clay. If Clay beats his pick of the Wildcats, he has to roll in here to the Week 9 podcast with a Clay shirt on.
I like it. I will make a trip out to Clay to pick that up.
I would too.
Yep, no problem. Well, you're assuming he's going to pick Napoleon. I mean, he's a Napoleon homer, but
he can't flip. He says he's not going to flip-flop, so he's got to stay with his preseason pick.
Oh, I will pick Napoleon in that game. Now, they go get tripped up at Don Paul Stadium Friday night, and I don't owe them anything. I'll jump.
Here we go.
I'll jump ship in a heartbeat.
We're seeing where this is going. We're going to get that Clay shirt for you if the Eagles knock off the Wildcats in week number 8.
I'll pre-order.
You know what? I'm in.
Maybe we make him put on a clay helmet too.
We're not going that far.
Or maybe he dresses
that eagle
dresses up.
mascot
Yeah,
head.
dresses up as the eagle.
We're not going to go that far, but I'll don the clay shirt if they get it done.
All right, where are you going this week with this? We're in Scott Southview, by the way.
Oh, Southview! We're crying out loud. Southview's rolling. You know, they're part of that group that gets to play that murderer's row of crossover games, and so this is welcome for Southview, and they get them at home. I like the Cougars.
North Central 1-4 is at Van Loo 0-5. Matchup of teams: Eagles scoring 11 points per game, Van Loo scoring 10. North Central giving up 34.2 points per game, and Van Loo giving up 51.1. Strength of schedule: Van Loo's is 698. North Central's is 673.
That was helpful.
For a bonus point, I told you this a few weeks ago. What's the name of Van Loo's football field?
I don't remember.
Don't you? I thought for sure you'd remember that. Hinkle Field.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
The great Hinkle Field.
I usually kind of tune you out at this point in the podcast.
We're getting...
Well, you ought to tune in.
Get to that.
Based on the standings, based on the standings, you're trying to show off for the Rutherfords, and they're laughing at you, not with you, trust me. And North Central gets it done. I mean, I don't know what that win against Richmond Heights last week means, but they're going to go on the road and get it done.
Not a whole lot unless it's basketball.
No, I agree with that. Now they get them in hoops.
Yeah.
Then I'm all for it. But I got to go with North Central. They've got to win, and Van Loo doesn't.
I'm going to go with North Central too.
I'm going Van Loo to get number one at home.
Okay.
They're tough at Hinkle.
I mean, both teams are looking to get something going here. Van Loo more so.
Yeah.
Van Loo could win. They could win.
Rounded out with this classic matchup here in Week 6. Central Catholic 4-1, 11th best schedule in the state at St. Ignatius, who is 1-4. Right, have you seen who the 4 losses are to?
I was just going to add
Number
that.
2 strength of schedule in all of Ohio.
So if you look, go ahead.
This is not an easy road trip for Greg Dempsey and crew.
No, it's not, and not that it ever is against a storied program like St. Ignatius. But Lynn, you mentioned as tough of a schedule as anyone. You mentioned they're 1-4. 4 teams they've lost to are combined 19-1 thus far in the season. Their lone victory over a 1-4 Dublin Kaufman team that Whitmer beat in Week 1 as well. Central with a statement win last week at Warren de La Salle, one that I did not see them winning by the margin that they did. Another storied program this week. I like the Fighting Irish to go on the road and get this victory, but they're going to have to work for it because St. Ignatius is battle hardened.
Iggy is lost to Avon, Mentor, Walsh Jesuit, and then they lost last week to Hoban. Talk about murderers.
Boy, oh boy.
They won't be intimidated with the Irish rolling into town.
No, they
Most
won't.
1-4 teams would be scared out of their minds.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to go with Central Catholic. I think a lot of years you look at a 1-4 Iggy team and everything that's been said is valid. I don't think they're the same St. Ignatius this year, looking at some of their margins of defeat. I think Central Catholic wins this by a couple scores or more.
I'm going to go with Central Catholic in that matchup as well. To wrap up our Week 6 picks, we'll be back next week for Week 7. Give it our rock-solid performance here from week number 6. Looking forward to the week ahead. Tory and I will be at Fairview on Friday night. Pauling in town. You will be at Anthony Wayne with Whitmer coming to Schuller Stadium.
Correct.
Should be a great week of football here as the weather cools down and we get closer to October and November and playoff time.
One more time. Bomber ball.
Bomber ball?
There it is.
Let's go, baby.
I was hoping you were going to put on that Cassius Holbert jersey, too. I know that would fit you.
I can't fill it out like old Cassius can, but I like it.
Yeah. Have a great week, everybody. We'll be back next week to talk to you then.